Thanks, Cameron, and thank you very much for the invitation to come today. It's very exciting. It's nice and COVID safe out there, so make sure you're not touching each other. Thank you again to the Bulk Tanker Association for inviting us here today. We came, I think, last year and talked to you about a lot of our compliance, what we were seeing on the side of the road. But today I thought I'd take a slightly different slant and focus more on getting vehicles moving faster and quicker and what the NHVR is trying to do to support that. So I'm assuming that is go. So who we are, I'm sure most people were around when, certainly in this room, when the NHVR first kicked off. So I think in 2014 was when we launched our permit system, and for those that were around at that time, it was suboptimal to say the least. And about mid-2014, I came in to support the organisation to remediate that system and fix, I guess, a lot of the permit challenges that were occurring at the time. And in many ways, they have improved, but in others, there's still work to be done. So I've stayed around to continue that journey, but equally getting involved in a bunch of other things. So as you know, we obviously represent, I guess, the functions of heavy vehicle safety, productivity and sustainability across the country in most states except for WA and Northern Territory. But our focus is really making sure that we expand our services and give a consistent, consistent approach across the country where we can. And so in many states, those services, the on-road services, are delivered by the NHVR now from beginning to end. And New South Wales, I think, have just passed their parliamentary law to look at bringing on those services from New South Wales into the regulator over the next 12 to 18 months. And Queensland will potentially follow shortly after. So the functionality, I guess, of the regulator grows. We've got a footprint across the country and definitely dealing with many of you and the people that also buy the vehicles on the side of the road on a daily basis. So from a productivity perspective, I thought I'd share, obviously we've got a lot of interested parties and as a government agency, we are quite unique. As a regulator, mostly you think about a safety and compliance focus, but we really have in the law a function around productivity and ensuring that we can get vehicles around the country quickly. Obviously, the law too requires road owners or road managers to approve the movement of certain types of vehicles at certain designs and weights. And part of our key challenge when we first took on the job was actually educating a lot of these councils that didn't have that responsibility before the law was enacted to understand what it meant to endorse and approve these vehicles to move around that had been moving around for a long time prior to that. So there's been a number of strategies and documents developed at different levels across the country. We've got a document we call the Heavy Vehicle Productivity Plan, and that really has a number of actions I'll touch on today, but really focus on the digital and data side of it as we go through. So for us, we actually want to focus on eliminating the need for permits. And I know it sounds a bit unusual, but at the end of the day, these vehicles need to get around the country as quickly as possible. We don't want to be a hold-up in that process. Since the portal was launched in 2016, we've had over 300,000 permit applications lodged, people saying where they want to go, and I guess road managers saying, yes, we agree and support, or actually refuse or put conditions on those requests. Over 96% of all applications are approved, so it's more often than not you're getting an approval. What we now need to do is turn that information into networks and unlock, I guess, that knowledge and information so that we can get vehicles moving without you having to ask for permission every time. It's a key challenge for us, and a key cornerstone, I guess, of our document is to make sure that you get certainty, that the road managers and the councils themselves are empowered and educated and understand what it means to either hold vehicles up or actually get them moving. And that's a very ongoing and challenging task at times. But you can see as we've introduced notices, the work we've done is to partner with industry as well to sell those notices to councils, because often industry are best placed to be able to describe what the impact or the benefit of a notice is, which eliminates the need for permits. And so in the case of special purpose vehicles, we engaged with the vehicle the Crane Association, to have somebody actually do a lot of the legwork to get the endorsement. And you can see on that map, before we got them involved, we had little to no uptake, but when we actually got industry involved, they actually turned the whole state of Queensland pretty much green, which was pretty exciting. So it's important for us to use the data that we collect to then inform our road manager partners about unlocking and opening up networks. To support them as well, more recently, we've been undertaking an asset management program, and we hear a lot that the councils don't have a strong understanding of their infrastructure, and in particular bridges. You see the state of the bridges reports that New South Wales puts out, and I'm sure our friends in TCA see that same sort of data, probably in a little bit more granular level, but it's definitely something that that we need to support councils better, and the federal government has funded us in the last 2 years to actually go out and do engineering assessments and then use that data, bring that into our asset system, and that's going to be used for actually determining the types of vehicles that can go over as of right, permitted, or actually restricted. So up until now, it's almost case by case, and the permits are actually part of their asset process. You know, they'll want you to apply for something so they can make a decision after doing an assessment. We're trying to get in front of that curve with more of these proactive, I guess, assessments and engineering calculations for them. And a program of work's been forecast for the next 2 years to continue that work, but we've done over 100 critical infrastructure assets for councils in the last 18 months. The second objective here is to partner with local governments. So part of it is this ongoing training and education I mentioned just before. So we want to unlock the roads with notices and get you consistent access and some level of certainty, but we also want to, as I said, educate strongly the road managers we work with on a daily basis. And part of it is partnering with local government associations. So in Queensland, we've had Robbie from LGAQ, who's been previously at the NHVR, who works closely with councils to bring them up to speed and focus on those networks that need to be opened up so that we can keep vehicles moving quickly. We're also trying, obviously, PBS is a critical part of the industry for you guys, and I've had a very intimate experience in the last couple of weeks with the PBS challenges we've had in terms of processing timeframes, which I'll happily take some comments and questions about shortly. But for us, PBS is such an important part of unlocking productivity outcomes and ensuring we get the material you need around the country done in a most safe and effective way. The bigger, safer vehicles are clearly going to be better than the smaller, less new vehicles at least. So we're looking to promote that modern fleet, that more PBS-focused uptake, and we've seen it quite significantly in terms of stats. We've definitely over 10,000 now, and definitely that was something projected. I think 12,000 was our projected for 2030. So the uptake in industry has been significant, and we're obviously trying to catch up with a little bit of that. And one of the things that is a key challenge for us too is turning a lot of those PBS vehicles, the bread and butter ones, actually into general purpose vehicles, ones that actually don't need to go through the PBS process. So that's work being done. Obviously there's law considerations in that, but that's one of the key focuses you'll hear from Les later today around how we're moving PBS forward. So just in terms of data and technology for us, I think last year you would have heard a little bit about our safety compliance platform, and for us that's our data warehouse. We ingest a lot of data from all across the country, and up until now, you can imagine that a roadside officer would have to only see data, maybe if they could see the data, but only see it from their jurisdiction or their particular region. What we've been able to do in partnership with other government agencies, and again TCA and Ausroads and the like, is actually collate a lot of that information and provide it in one central place so that we can use it to inform our more targeted focuses and our obviously starting to unlock that and provide that through to industry as well. We've got our portal, and as well we're focusing on our mapping aspects. So for what we're calling our intelligence platform, it is such a critical part. It is about trying to understand the state of the fleet. The compliance information all ends up in there, from the roadside intercepts, from inspections that happen as well, and it gives us an understanding, a state of play on a vehicle, on potentially a driver, but at an operator level as well. And And for us, it's the insights we need to actually make more targeted decisions. We hear a lot. It is about trying to focus on the issues that are highest risk, and that's what this is all about, giving us that intel and information to actually inform those practical approaches. We also have a camera network, as highlighted on the diagram there. And it's another way we can see across the country. It isn't as I guess accurate or information heavy as, say, a telematics platform, but it is all about providing those little bits of information to support our compliance activities and also to unlock movement as well through productivity focus. Recently, we just completed a fatigue detection trial where it was all about using the camera data to inform if somebody potentially was at risk of being in fatigue or breach of fatigue. And what we found was we were ending up pulling over, the majority of the people were pulling over with the right people rather than pulling over random intercepts that actually weren't targeted, and the compliance rate was lower. We saw a higher non-compliance rate in the people we were targeting because of what we saw from the cameras. So we're starting to use those algorithms, the information, to inform better sort of targeted enforcement activities, which for us means we get you moving quicker over time. Second part is the portal, and that's my little baby. Obviously, that's about what we do to transact with you. We interact with you through permits, but we've moved our accreditation function in there, and we're in the process of getting the final pieces of the PBS functionality in there now. PBS is certainly a challenge at this point in time for the regulator. The vehicle approval side of it has had a bit of a bump in terms of the volume that's come in, but also at our end, because of the manual nature of our part of the process, a number of our senior staff had left late last year, and coming into the new year, it was hard to fill those roles. So we've got some challenges that we're working through. We're working through with certifiers. I'm sure there's some in the room today. As well as with operators to try and get those vehicles on the road as quickly as possible. I understand that there's some challenges there, and I'm happy to chat with you shortly about that. But for us, once we get the PBS functionality into the portal, a lot of the things that happen that we need to do can be automated. So one of the only areas, I think, of the business that we can actually see some true engineering calculations turned into decisions quickly. So things like little tire updates, which you'll hear later today, hopefully be removed shortly, but those sort of minor, less complex applications, they'll be self-serve. The ones that are more complicated, we'll actually be able to spend the quality time we need rather than holding you up. But a lot of the move to the portal is all about automation. And yeah, it's a growing piece. We're definitely having conversations with people in WA as well about leveraging the same platform and information. They currently use our compliance functionality as well. So we're starting to see a more unified national approach to compliance as well as transactions. And then finally, a big focus for us over the next 12 months is fixing up our, I don't know if that's the right word, fixing up, but rejuvenating, completely replacing our spatial mapping platform. For those that have used our route planner, it was a significant challenge getting the right route. It's not predictive. It doesn't use the smarts and the data. It is suboptimal. So we're completely reimagining it and working through that over the next couple of months. So shortly in the new financial year, you'll start to see new parts of our spatial platform, and that really is about, again, trying to help you get around the country, move your product, move your vehicles around quicker. Being able to make sure that there's certainty in those decisions and eliminating all of the work you have to do with our staff to get the right route to actually, potentially hold you up from actually getting your vehicles moving. And I guess that links us into the final sort of understanding of how it all comes together for us. So for us, if it is really about delivering greater productivity for you, we know where you're wanting to go. We've had over those last few years, the 300,000 requests, start and finish points, approved routes, conditions on roads. We now need to use that data to inform, I guess, our networks and be more predictive for you so that we get you the right answer the first time. We know where councils have approved or road managers have approved those requests, and we know where they've refused them as well. And what we're looking to do is get you around those bottlenecks so that you're not sort of going for permission on something that's been previously refused. We are collecting that asset data and more growing that information as a bit of a warehouse to, again, use in the application approach. And then we've got that level of visibility we've got around cameras and starting to get the insights on where vehicles are actually going. That all gets pulled into our safety compliance regulatory platform, our intelligence platform. But then what we want to do is actually unlock that. We want to provide intelligent routing to you so that you're not guessing, you're not using sort of almost the Refidex type approach where you're drawing the line. It actually will give you the insights you need to get the right route the first time, every time. Almost every time. I said that came out wrong. That sounded like a sales pitch. First time, most times. Maybe I'll use that as a little asterisk. It'll be an improving system. But yeah, really focused on getting you where you need to go. And then we want to make sure that we can open that data up. And we have had a lot of technology providers wanting to get access to our spatial data, our mapping information. We want to make that an open network, an open connector. So we're really going to try and see what we can do to get them inside the cabs of vehicles where these networks are approved by a council. You know that you're on the right road. And I think at the moment there's a lot of challenges around that. And then finally, making sure that the information we're collecting, the approvals, refusals, and the asset information helps inform better targeted investment for government. Because at the end of the day, that's how we create and open up these networks better, by making sure the money goes to the right places. So that is my final bit, and I appreciate everyone's time. I'll take questions shortly, but thank you very much for the invitation today.